Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Kitty Hawk Town Council meeting to order. It's Monday, August 7th, 2023. We're in the Kitty Hawk Town Hall, 6 o'clock p.m. We have a very large turnout. Thank you all for coming tonight. Good to see you. Hope you can find a seat somewhere to sit. If you would, please join us if you're able to stand in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Folks, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda, but before we do so, I need to amend the agenda. Presentation from the OBX Jeep Invasion is here tonight. Can I get a motion in that order, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Jeff. Second.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Presentations on employee recognitions. Melody?
Okay. Actually, welcome everybody. I'm glad so many people are here because we have excellent employees. And tonight we're going to recognize two of them. First of all, I'd like to recognize William Mitchell, our Public Works Director. He served as the acting town manager in my absence for several weeks, and I just want to tell you that you did an exceptional job. I got numerous compliments, and you handled things capably, and I didn't have to worry at all while I was gone, and I came back to everything completely in order. So I appreciate it, and I know town council appreciates it very much. And the next person I'd like to recognize tonight is Lieutenant James Helms. I can't even see him. There he is. Jimmy was our interim chief of police, and so I was calling him that, and then I have to call him lieutenant, and I really like to call him Jimmy, but I have to follow proper protocol. So, you know, what can I say about you? You started at the town not long after I arrived here, and you at the time were beginning your law enforcement career. You were a youngster, fresh out of the LET, and you were young and untethered. And during your time here at the town, you have adopted numerous roles and many titles, including husband, police sergeant, dad, police lieutenant, and most recently, interim police chief. In some ways, it seems like this has happened in such a short time, but I'm here to recognize you for your latest role as interim chief. When we knew our previous chief was going to retire, you were the natural choice to assume the role. We were both in our new roles, and I'm not sure we really knew what it all entailed and everything, but you willingly stepped in, and you committed to doing your best, which is exactly what you did. In the process, you have progressed in your own leadership journey right before our very eyes, and I'm not the only one that says that. You have been very impressive to watch. Over this time, I've also gotten to know you better and have personally come to appreciate your openness, your kindness, your willingness to communicate and talk to me, and your sense of humor. I cannot be more proud of your service and dedication to our town, and you represent us extremely well. Chief Popovich is now taking over the reins, and you've been instrumental in coordinating a smooth transition. I'm so looking forward to the future, and I know that your growth and development will continue under Chief Popovich's leadership. And again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I have something for you. Yeah, help your copy. So this is a certificate of appreciation to recognize your time from February of 2023 to August of 2023 as an interim police chief. And you want to come on up? Get in the picture.
Look at me for a second.
And this is something on behalf This is to encourage you to take some time off. No, at your own leisure, but we have credited your leave account with some leave so you can have some well-deserved rest and relaxation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, again. I just wanted to say, as a new chief coming in, it's very challenging when you come to an area where you don't know anybody. And this process, as Melody has said, Jimmy has really stepped up and been a great partner to introduce me. He has been on the phone with me late at night, early in the morning, traveled 200 miles to come visit me at my old place. And he's just done a wonderful job of taking this team, the police department, for the past 7 months and bringing them to where they are. And I just can't thank him enough for making this transition one that was easy to navigate, and it's been a pleasure getting to know him and the rest of the team. So it is much well deserved, and you are going to have to take this time off.
Yes.
At some point, we force that on him because he does not like to take time off. We're going to fix that. So thank you from the police department for everything that you have done, and look forward to continuing to work with you as we move into the future. Good job.
Thank you,
All right,
Chief.
thank you.
Okay, next is the OBX Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Coalition. Come up, sir.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Gould. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you all for having me this evening. And I'm here to represent as the vice chair for the Outer Banks Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Coalition. So I would like to start by saying that is a mouthful, and then second that by saying I want to see how many of you have ever ridden a bike in your life. Just raise your hand. You've ridden a bike. How many of you ever walked down the street in your life? Raise your hand. Wow, there seems to be an overwhelming amount of people here that this group could affect or could potentially become volunteers for our group. So there you go. So I want to tell you all that this group is nothing new. Give you guys a little overview here. We were founded as a 501c3 back in 2013, so we're about 10 years old. And the group was really founded after a series of tragic collisions that occurred with some Food Line staff members, some Kitty Hawk Kite staff members, and they're still a large part of the organization. And we've since done a lot of great work in the community, but over COVID, we took a little nap. We stayed indoors, and the group kind of went dormant to a degree. But I think as we realize the need still stands for this group that has been supported by organizations throughout the state. Also, Watch for Me and See, I want to give a shout out to Let's Go and See, Safe Routes for School. So that our mission is to help facilitate the education and awareness of practical bicycle and pedestrian safety to drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, and all those who live on or visit the Outer Banks of North Carolina in a positive and proactive manner. We've done that through various resources. We provided a lot of bicycle lights, which I have for you all to take this evening over on the table. The white ones are, of course, for the front. The red one is, of course, for the back, and that's a good way for you to maybe be seen a little bit more than you using them as a guiding light while you're out riding at night. So feel free to take those on your way out. We've run plenty of media blitzes on the radio. There was one that was pretty popular. Stop at Z Crosswalk, watch for me. I'm sure you all have heard that one, and they've done a really good job at getting the word out to the motorists. We've partnered with ISOP throughout the years. That's the International Student Outreach Program, to make sure that when we have folks visiting us from far away, that they understand where they should and shouldn't walk or bicycle and how they can be safe and be seen while they're here on the Outer Banks. And we've also, continued to promote intergovernmental, cooperation with working with the town of Kitty Hawk, working with the town of Duck, et cetera, et cetera. And when our voice really spans from Corolla all the way down to Hatters. So we are truly the Outer Banks, maybe not incorporating some of Hyde County, but we have a far reach there. So the facts maybe, they matter, of course. Are people getting struck here on the Outer Banks? Yes, they are. springtime, fall, winter, people are still getting hit. It's not just the summertime. Actually, and some statistics actually point towards the fact that there's less interactions between peoples and cars because the traffic is a little bit slower, believe it or not. But really the facts don't matter as much as the real story behind things. Now, these are some of the older articles, but I could populate this little segment with newer articles like from Kitty Hawk in May of 2022. We have fatal incidences that occur between bicycles, cars, pedestrians, cars, maybe not fatal between bicycles and pedestrians, but there's still interactions there that we want to make people aware of and promote safety along the way. And really the idea behind the group is to eliminate this bad press by creating this extremely safe environment where people can move about freely in multiple ways and not have these, horrible interactions. So that's a little bit more of what we do on this slide. But the fact of the matter is that we believe that as a group we could do a lot more. And being that we were dormant, we lost some of our volunteer base. So the ask of you this evening is that if you're thinking like, hey, I want to get involved with an organization that isn't necessarily political, it's a feel-good organization, I feel like everyone can get behind it, and we actually have events, we educate folks, we get out there and stay busy. Consider us, okay? And one of the things that we're looking at, aside from e-bikes, which seems to be a topic on everybody's agenda these days, we're also looking at supporting getting more advocacy, so getting behind different projects too is another thing on our schedule. So supporting infrastructure projects, whether it's creating new bicycle paths or getting lights for certain crosswalks or getting new crosswalks, where maybe there wasn't one, like Palmetto Street or something like that. And I'm speaking off the cuff, so these aren't things that are officially on our list, but are a big deal. So the ask is pretty simple, and I'll keep this nice and short, and I'll certainly entertain questions, but come and join us. If you're thinking, hey, I want to get involved with something in this community a little bit better, come and join us. Tell your friends, come and join us. Share this information with your church groups, your HOAs, your friends that you go bicycle with. Tell us about the organization. Tell them about the organization, and definitely check us out. We've got a pretty new website, as in a beautiful new website, but it's also new. It's obxbikeped.org, so fairly simple to remember, where we've got, of course, Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media platforms. So you shouldn't have any reason why you couldn't find us. So my final closure is make sure you're coming to join us, because essentially there's no better way to be safe and be seen. So appreciate the time this evening and certainly entertain questions.
Spoke to Jim earlier. I was a member of the coalition for a number of years, a lot of years, and I know the work that you do. Each school, beginning school year, you visit each schools, pass out the lights, helmets to the students. The big thing is when the J1 students come, meeting with them, teaching them the rules of the road, which side to walk on, which side to ride the bike. But you do great work, and I know you're visiting each town with this same presentation to get your message out there. So we certainly appreciate what you do.
Yes, sir.
Great job.
Thank you. Yeah, and I look forward to meeting the chief a little bit more and working together as the years go by. So please, you all reach out to me. I'm the vice chair, and my email address is vicechAir@obxbikeped.org. I also work for the town of Ducks, if you're ever like, oh yeah, that guy. So we have great staff too, I think.
Gotta get your plug in.
You do.
But I appreciate your time, and thank you all.
We have a very active recreation committee, and that sounds like something that we'd be very interested to get involved with. And we'll talk about that and get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yep. And we've actually started to develop a committee structure with 5 distinct committees, and we're encouraging people to sign up and be a part of them, and even become committee chairs if they'd like. So
Thank you.
trying to really get the ball rolling. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Great idea, Charlotte. Thank you. Commissioner Steve House, OBX Jeep Invasion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. As you know, back in May, we had the OBX Jeep Invasion, and y'all were gracious enough to let us do a charity ride on the beach, both on Friday and Saturday. We limited both of those runs to 100 Jeeps. For the 2 days, it was sold out in registration in 30 minutes, both rides. It was a tremendous effort by all of us to work everything. This year, we had over 800 Jeeps down here, which was a step up from last year. And usually with these type of events, to get a national brand to actually bring one of their big rigs down here and set it up. General Tire, I think it was, it came down. Usually it takes 5 years for an event like this to gain that much traction. We're in year 3. So we're already starting to get recognized nationally for the event here. The fire department and the ocean rescue and the police department really helped us out with it. The police department held up traffic so we could get all the Jeeps off and on the beach. The fire department bringing their 5-ton out there with the flags going and escorting us down the beach. It was phenomenal. And I cannot tell you how many Jeepers we had in that group. Could not believe that they had a 5-ton. I said, why do you have such a vehicle? I said, have you ever heard of a hurricane? So they got that understanding at that point in time. To let you know what this means to our fellow Jeepers. After that ride, I had an email from Carrie Kalk and her husband, Dean. And I'm going to read that to you. He said, Dear Steve, I'm writing to express my sincere appreciation to the organizers of the OVX Jeep Invasion and the town of Kitty Hawk. My husband and I had an incredible experience that we will never forget. And it was all thanks to the support and coalition of the organizers in the town of Kitty Hawk and the community. Dean and I were thrilled to be able to take our Jeep on the beach and experience the beautiful coastline up close. The morning ride was a memorial adventure, and we are grateful for the opportunity to explore the natural beauty of your town. Furthermore, Dean and I would like to express our admiration for the town of Kitty Hawk's efforts to restore and protect the beach. Your dedication to preserving the coastline's beauty and ecosystem is truly commendable. Your commitment to conservation and environmental sustainability is evident in the efforts to maintain the beach's natural beauty. Once again, thank you for allowing the Jeep owners to attend the OVX Jeep Invasion to experience the morning beach ride. We are grateful for the opportunity to explore the natural beauty of your town. Keep up the great work in preserving the coast, and we look forward to our next visit. Best regards, Gary Galt, Graham, Mr. Hall. We'll make copies for all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, we said that we were going to do this Jeep ride. And with the help of the fire department and the police department. Chiefs. Cannot thank you enough and your staff for helping us do this and get this thing done. And without the escort from the police department helping us get it on and off the beach, the escort of the fire department, ocean rescue for leading us down the beach to make sure we're safe and narrow. And Mr. Mayor, you told me a long time ago, do not mess our beach up.
Yes, sir.
The only thing we left are tire tracks.
Good.
So with that being said, for the Kitty Hawk Ocean Rescue, due to the funds raised by the Outer Jeep Invasion, the Outer Jeep Charity Group, I'd like to present you a check for $3,500. Now, Chief of the Police Department, I know this is your first town hall meeting. Don't expect this at every town hall. The other Jeep Invasion, Outer Jeep Charity, I'd like to present the Police Department another check for $3,500. Again, thanks again to Town Council for allowing us to do this. As you can tell, it's a memorial adventure for everybody that has done this ride. And I can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this charity ride. And continue the good work, and look forward to doing it again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, it's time for public comment. Public comment period is something for you, the folks, the citizens, to come speak about any topic you want to. It's just to kind of let council know what you've got on your mind, what kind of issues you have, what you want to hear about. Ask you to, we have got a large group, but we're going to stick to the usual agenda here, 3 minutes per person. Ask you to speak directly into the microphone. If you have a large group and you have a spokesperson and that spokesperson wants to speak for 5 minutes, we're good with that, okay? Lynn, who do we have signed up?
Sue Walters, and she is representing a group.
Okay, come on up, Miss Sue.
5 minutes.
Thank you for coming, ma'am.
You bet. First off, my friends and family want to know where you buy these so they can use it on me at home as well. Good evening, my name is Sue Walters, and I live in Kitty Hawk Landing, specifically on Ivy Lane. Kitty Hawk Landing started around 1971 in its development, now comprised of about 215 property owners in the stable community, almost all of which are Kitty Hawk residents, full-time. We're here to talk to you today about concerns from 15 homeowners owning 17 lots that are seeing concerning flood changes to our street and homes in the last 12 to 16 months. I want to do a disclaimer here, which is we're not talking about the severe weather of named storms and tropical depressions and so forth. We understand the OBX is vulnerable in all of that space. But what we are talking about are regular sustained high winds and or rain events that come through from the west, the south, the southwest, and the northwest. They're causing street flooding and threats to our homes that we need to address in front of these approximately 17 properties. So who have we resourced up to now? An engineer by the name of Andy Deal, who came highly recommended from several sources. He came and toured the area with us so we could get advice on what could be done given his expertise in stormwater management. He recommended roadside culverts directing the water to the end of our cul-de-sac, flowing into a marshland. He viewed that as a natural gift from Mother Nature that he doesn't see in most neighborhoods around here. Additionally, we've talked to another engineer, John DeLucia, who happens to be a resident of Kitty Hawk Landing, who had several ideas that we might be able to consider, while also sharing that remediation with Kitty Hawk has also been done on Tarkle Ridge Road in Kitty Hawk Landing, as well as Kitty Hawk Estates nearby for similar problems. Additionally, Willie Midget met with us at our request to discuss what we are here this evening to talk about. He mentioned that Ivy Lane actually used to have a culvert system, but over the decades, from 1971, it's clear that they've gotten filled in. The other two arteries are Tarkle and Pineway within our community. They continue to have culverts which help those streets, and we don't have that. So what changed? In the last 12 to 16 months, 2 lots, numbers 3910 and 3904, put in bulkheads where they didn't exist before. All that is really, really good, as the erosion being sustained by those properties were significant and a growing problem. 3910 also built a home after building up their lot an additional 4 feet, all allowed in our code. That forced all water making it past the 2 new bulkheads by driving winds and rain directly to Ivy Lane through adjacent properties with a stronger force. Nobody was foreseeing that, including us. Just earlier I was talking to a resident that is here, and it's not that the water's coming at us, it's what's happening after it gets in that's causing the problem now that we've changed our landscape. Once the blown rain and waves get over the new bulkheads, it's trapped and can't get back out as it could before. Ivy Lane is now a full-on river in these events that now delivers water distribution both to the north and the south on this area of Ivy Lane. People who have not had flooding now do. and those who had minor effects now get way more, and Ivy Lane remains flooded more frequently. I do have a handout for the council to review with more additional details. I dropped it off with Lynn. Everybody has their own. It includes a map at the back so you can really get a visual if you haven't driven down to Kitty Hawk Landing to see the 15 properties owned by 17 properties owned by 15 people. You can see what we're talking about. It'll provide additional details on who we are, facts that support what we're seeing, and the help we're seeking. We do thank you for your time this evening and hope to continue with the dialogue as we seek Kitty Hawk help to remediate this growing problem that has been plaguing us for the last 12 to 16 months. Lack of remediation will bring further damage it already has to our road and homes now that things have been permanently altered. Our efforts are not to blame anyone, only fix it now that we're in this predicament.
Thank you, Ms. Walters. You're speaking for the entire group?
I am.
Okay.
And everybody raise your hand.
Okay. So no one else is speaking about this topic, correct? I will say this is public comment, but we think you've got a great group to come up to show your support and share your concerns. Thank you. I will say that we are aware of the situation. We're having conversations, and we will continue to have those conversations.
Just great to hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Ms. Walters.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Walters. So we can get the minutes cleaned up just for later. In the handout, you had referenced 2 properties that put in bulkheads, and it states 3610 and 3604. Did that mean 3910 and 3904?
Fat fingers.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was just making sure so that way Ms. Lynn can
Thanks
make
for catching that. Mine is right, yours is wrong.
No problem. I try to read. They told me to do that in law school.
Thank you, ma'am, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming for this. Lynn, do we have anybody else sign up for public comment?
Donna Creed.
Donna Creef.
Good evening.
Good evening, Donna. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good. As Lynn said, I'm Donna Creef, and I serve as the Government Affairs Director for the Outer Banks Association of Realtors, and I'm here tonight to speak to you a little bit about flood insurance. Advocacy of insurance issues is one of my responsibilities as the Government Affairs Director, and I've been going around the past couple of weeks talking to local towns and the county. I was at the Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting this morning talking about the same issue. Recently, the Board of Directors for the Outer Banks Association of Realtors adopted a resolution in support of federal legislation that would extend the National Flood Insurance Program for 5 years and make significant changes to the National Flood Insurance Program. That federal legislation is entitled the National Flood Insurance Program Reauthorization and Reform Act of 2023. Currently, the NFIP is set to expire on September 30th of this year. We have sent a copy of our resolution to Senator Spud, Senator Tillis, Congressman Murphy, Congressman Patrick McHenry, who serves from the 10th District of North Carolina, and he oversees the House Financial Services Committee, which oversees insurance issues. And the ask tonight is that the town consider adopting a similar resolution. The county did adopt it this morning after I spoke to them. Southern Shores and Duck are scheduled to discuss it at their September meetings after I spoke at their public comment. The town participates in the community rating system, which is part of the National Flood Insurance Program, so support of this resolution is consistent with that. And I'm just going to stop right there, and thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you,
Okay,
Donna.
thank you, Donna.
Thank you very much. Lynn?
Sharon Sullivan.
All right. Ms. Sullivan, come up, please. Are you speaking for individual or a group or?
Me.
Just you? Okay.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
short.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Go
Good
ahead.
evening. I'm here to express my dismay over the development on my street and in Kitty Hawk Village in general. My property has been in my family for over 100 years, and I'm committed in maintaining it. There is a developer who is planning to build 2 ADUs without a permanent residence on a tiny lot next to me. He has taken down one 100-year-old live oak and has destroyed the root system of another with a septic field. He has taken a portion of our street turnaround, which is a subject that's been volleying back and forth between the town and DOT. Herbert Perry Road was a quiet residential street, and now my neighbors and I will have 2 houses right up on the setbacks of our property. I know right from wrong, and this is just wrong. and no value other than the money he will pocket from his 2 Airbnbs. I also want to express my support for Mark Perry's text amendment to protect our marshes and water quality and the lower density in our village neighborhoods. I know there's a public hearing about that on the 5th of September. It may be too late for myself and my neighbors, but I don't want to see this happen anymore in this town that I love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Anyone else signed up to speak?
Yes, sir. Amy Wells.
Okay, come on up, Ms. Wells.
My name is Amy Wells, and I live on the same road as Sharon on Herbert Perry Road. And I'm still so glad, I haven't been to a council meeting in a while, but I'm still glad you say the Pledge of Allegiance and allow us to speak in public comment.
Yes.
I wrote the letter, I think, to all the commissioners regarding having the end of our road, the turnaround on our road, blocked by a contractor, the developer. And I did call the police. He was parked in the middle of the road and in the turnaround, and they had a string and survey markers across the turnaround so you could not use it. And when I turned around, I had to turn around and I had to run over his string in order to turn around. So I did call the police and tell them, you know, I had run over his string and he was still in the middle of the road. I tried to call and see if I could find anybody, but no one answered. And then I left. And it was my understanding that a nice police lady came and asked them to move. I think they did move off the right of way and she left. But just to let you know the kind of people we're dealing with, as soon as that nice lady left, the contractors pulled both 3 trucks, 2 into the turnaround and 1 in the turnaround on the east side. There's an east and west T turnaround. So they blocked it completely. And I had to go on to do some other business. So I came back and I just went down there and they were still blocking the road. And they told me that they did not have to move and that I could not use the turnaround. It was private property. So he whipped out his survey and showed me that the property line did include 2 parking places that he was claiming on the turnaround so that he could get his lot coverage and parking places for these 2 other units he's trying to build. I've not gotten a good answer from anybody yet. It's been several weeks. I probably made 30 phone calls and emails, and I ended up getting a nice reply from our district representative saying that we would have a turnaround at the end of our road, but it was going to take DOT some time and construction to get it resolved. So I thought that was great. I appreciated it, and I appreciated his response because it's one of the only responses I've gotten. So our concern is, and we've been out there and watched the garbage truck turn around, it cannot turn around at the end of our street without using the entire turnaround. We still don't have details about when the turnaround will be finished, when it will be clean, who's paying for the turnaround. It's my tax dollars paying for the turnaround at the request of this developer to move it. I'm not really cool with that. So I don't know whether it's the state, I don't know if it's the town, I really don't know who. I don't know who's going to make sure that it's completed and to what specifications and when. If he starts his construction during the time that the turnaround is being constructed, it's just a horrendous problem. We won't be able to turn around. Is that time up?
Yes.
Sorry. But that's really all I have to say. Thank you, except ADUs are a tremendous problem in our community, and it's ruining our neighborhoods. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Thank you very much. Anyone else sign up, Lynn?
That is all that have signed up.
Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak at public comment about any topic? Yes, come on up. Please state your name and your address, sir.
Sure. My name is Tom Budke. I'm also a resident of Kitty Hawk Landing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these issues have already been addressed by Ms. Walters. And I understand, Mr. Mayor, that you said that Some of this is already being under investigation, but I just wanted to pass out some information to kind of clarify how serious I think this issue has become to us.
Thank you,
And I
sir.
have a couple of issues.
Thank you.
I've been living in Kitty Hawk Landing for 17 years now, and I've been a resident of the Outer Banks for 20 years. My wife and I ran a dental business up until 2 years ago when we turned it over to my daughter. And so instead of doing root canals every day, I take care of grandsons, and I'm not sure which is harder to do. But the thing is, we've been here for, like I say, for 17 years. We've been through a couple of hurricanes. And as Ms. Walters said, we're not discussing that because that's part of the Outer Banks. But the neighborhood, our street in particular, that's shown on that first page, I live down there, it shows where my house is on the end of Ivy Lane. We get all those west winds, that's the arrows on there. And although I've been there all this time, something has really changed in the last, I would say, couple of years. I think most of us would say that coming in and out of Kitty Hawk Road, it seems to be flooded more than it used to, more frequently, maybe not to a greater depth. On the second page, inside that white rectangle, that's the area that I really want to address my concerns about. The arrow points to my house, but that rectangle in front, that's the area that when I'm looking out my window, I can take pictures and see what's going on. So if you go on to the next page, it says December 23rd of last year. This was not a hurricane, this was not a rainstorm. This was just a sustained winds of about 50 or 55 miles an hour. And the black arrow shows the water coming into our driveway. But you can see the sound is right there, and it's just kind of rolling across the property there. Now that property has been bulkheaded, which is the absolute right thing to do, but now the water is coming in and has no place to go. This also happened on April 1st. There's a picture showing that again with lower winds, and again one more time on April 30th with winds, around 40 miles an hour. So if you can just flip quickly to the last page there, this is just, again, from my house, so that everything's in that rectangle. This is what the road looks like now after it's been wet and then it starts to dry a bit. It's being really eroded, I believe, by the rain waters, the storm waters, the sound waters that are all coming in here and sitting here. Our issue is it's not going anywhere. We're asking the town to please do a study that would look at what is possible to address this issue and then get back to us and let us know. And I appreciate you letting me run over time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak at public comment? Come on up, sir.
My name is Charlie Hathcock. I live in Kitty Hawk Landing as well. I'm not going to reiterate all the issue. However, I am going to offer up that I have videos of all three events that Tom referred to there, and if somebody can provide me with an email, I'll be more than happy to email copies of those videos to you so you can see how serious the problem was. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Melody, can you, or Lynn, can you make sure you get that address to this gentleman? Thank you very much. Someone else had their hand up. Anyone else to speak at public comment? Come on up.
It's your turn.
Your turn.
It's really you this time.
Hi, my name is Katie Morgan. I've lived on the Outer Banks my whole life. I don't currently live in Kitty Hawk. I live in Collington, but I hope to move back to Kitty Hawk soon. I am a certified arborist, and I'm an owner of a local tree company here on the island. And I just wanted to speak to y'all. I've been speaking very closely with the town of Nags Head with how they have the live oak. They make it so there's different permits and different regulations where you can't just cut live oaks, can't just cut down 100-year-old living oaks that add to the charm and the value of people's property. I've been talking with them very closely, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it implemented in each town. And I just would love to know, like, who I could start talking to about that kind of thing with y'all, because I just would love to see some kind of just regulations, even of the companies. And I'm a company asking to be regulated. I know there's a lot of companies out here that are not insured, that are not real companies, that are just doing hack jobs and cutting everything down, and coupling with their erosion problem. I mean, the trees help with erosion, and just seeing all the clear cutting just all the time is just really, it's breaking my heart. And I have children, 1 and 4-year-old, that I would love to have them, grow up, have the same kind of childhood as I had, and I'm just trying to do anything and everything in my power to try to help preserve some of the charm, especially of Kitty Hawk. So if I could speak with anybody later, that would be awesome.
Probably the same, if you would get the email address for the town and email your concerns and your contact information to the town, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Okay, because I would volunteer my time, my expertise.
Sure.
I would definitely help with that.
Sure.
Do you have a card?
I do. I can get you all some. Definitely. Okay, cool.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak at public comment? Going
She's
once.
got her hand up right there.
Come on up.
There we go.
Yeah, shy.
My name is Ann Summers, and I hate to say it, but I also live in Kitty Hawk Land. So they're getting us to get that on Ivy, but it was just, I was looking over the information that the town plan, the land plan that has been online, and it's a lot of things from past are just being moved on. And I would just like the council to consider re-looking at some of those things, house size. I questioned that because of some personal issues, and when I was told it's just heated square feet, so that affects the sidewalk, the setbacks. So you can have a house that has 1,000 heated square feet, but a 5-car garage, and they still only have a 10-foot setback from the side. And I would like for y'all to just readdress that. When I asked about it, they said that's just the way it's always been. But I just think maybe to think about that in terms of how you count house size.
All right, I can tell you we are looking at that too.
Good.
Currently looking.
And the other thing is when they grilled out, like they were talking about the 4 or 6 feet, it creates flooding everywhere, and the only thing that we can do about it, and I have met with Mr. Bardell, and I've met with Mr. Testerman as well, is it's a policy that it's not supposed to hurt those people around them, but yet when it comes down to it, it's, well, we can take them to court. And I just feel like if they're not supposed to be damaging the property surrounding them, that it should be Kitty Hawk's responsibility to look into that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Summers, very much. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else? Okay, thank you all for coming to speak at public comment tonight to share your concerns. Thank you very much. Council, I need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Lynn, second.
Second.
Second by Charlotte. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. We had no items removed from the consent agenda. We now have a public hearing. Rob? Text amendments, definitions, temporary uses, yard sales, outdoor events, a lot of stuff involved here.
All right, so the breakdown is kind of 4 parts that's in front of you tonight. Part of it dealing with section 42-502, temporary uses. And I'll note in the staff report, since there are 4 separate kind of amendments in different sections, I laid it out as 4 different motions for you all. I'll just kind of go through them one by one. The first one deals with the language just in 42-502, temporary uses. It currently states that town council approves the temporary uses that we have each year, like Christmas tree sales over at Longwoods. In practice, since before I've been here, it's been staff making those approvals. So the first proposal just changes that 42-502 to align it with what the practice has been, allowing staff to make those approvals rather than reading it as council making approval and staff doing it in practice. The second part is all new proposed language for temporary outdoor markets. And this kind of stemmed up from an event that was held last summer. Council made a couple of tweaks to our outdoor events and gathering ordinances and asked a group of residents and business owners and myself to kind of hash out some ideas and brought that forward. So rather than read through the entire thing, I'll just hit on a couple of the key points of what is in there. So these temporary outdoor markets would be permitted on improved non-residential properties. Activities of the market must be consistent with the zoning permitted principal use of the sponsoring commercial business. Minimum parking requirements for the principal use must be met, plus one space per vendor associated with the market. The area of the market would not exceed 30% of the floor area of that commercial sponsor, and it would be limited to 2 events per 12-month period, not exceeding 2 consecutive days. And that's for any commercial sponsor in town. I have talked with police and fire about some public safety concerns that didn't come up during our kind of group committee discussions and the planning board. Those being issues, the little 10 by 10 canopy tents that are used, making sure those are secured so they're not going to get blown away by a sudden gust of rain or anything blowing out into a road. Issues with parking and traffic circulation. Suggestion was that if it's to be held in a parking lot, that area of the parking lot is completely closed off to vehicular traffic to lessen the likelihood of any pedestrian and vehicle interactions, and possible limit to the hours of operation. So those are things suggestions that have come to be incorporated in it. They're not in it as of yet. The third portion of it is the revisions to section 18-11, our outdoor events ordinance. Essentially, this would just kind of revert this ordinance back to how it was in October of last year, before council made a couple of changes to kind of accommodate these market type uses. The way we kind of looked at it was the way that ordinance is written is geared towards the larger scale events like the bike week or surf contests that are drawing people into the area rather than these markets that are popping up and catching eyes of people driving by and getting them to pull in. And as it was written, I think as long as it's administered towards those larger events, it was sufficient the way it was. And then the final part of it is creating a definition and regulations for commercial yard sales. It was another one that previously our outdoor events and gatherings ordinance had kind of become like a catch-all for everything that wasn't necessarily listed in the ordinance. So just as an example, Soundpeak Shoes a couple times a year does like a parking lot tent sale where they bring their own merchandise out from the store and put it under these tents to sell. This would create essentially what's being done in practice without having to try to find something else to call it. That's kind of what I've got for you. It lays out time frames and how many times per year parking as well. 4 events in a 12-month period. 10% of the required parking can be used for merchandise sales. No longer than 7 consecutive days. It must be approved by the planning department prior to the event being held.
Thank you. Council, before we go any further regarding questioning for Rob or questions from the public, can I get a motion that we go into public hearing, please?
So moved.
Motion made by Nate, second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, does anyone have questions for Rob? No questions? All right. Is anyone here tonight would like to speak in this portion of public hearing regarding these matters? Come on up, sir.
First, I'd like to thank Lynn for
lending me her reading glasses. Y'all may have been in this situation before, but I tell you, I think they make me more attractive. At any rate, my name is Ralph Calfee. I'm representing 3708 North Croatan Highway. That's where you will find Trio, Knitting Addiction, Miss Lizzie's, and absolutely Outer Banks. The proposed action is a bit much for any real detailed discussion, so I can only reiterate a few summary comments. The current regulation on the books today to regulate outdoor events says you can have 2 consecutive days. The event must be contained within applicant property, which is kind of a loose regulation, just keep it on your site. It allows 6 events per parcel for a 12-month period. There's no apparent constraint on what an event promotes or sells or even is. So really, the current outdoor events regulations appear to be a pretty poor vehicle for regulating what we were calling itinerant merchant sales, excuse me, itinerant vendor sales, and which are now called temporary outdoor markets. The proposed actions before you recommend several actions. The first is to restore the outdoor events regulations to deal with things like outdoor events and bike week and marathon and that sort of stuff. The second thing it does is it brings up a new definition for outdoor markets. We'll call them TOMS for short. It defines a TOMS sponsor, so what commercial entity would be involved. It regulates that a TOM has to offer the same use as a sponsor does. And this is something that prevents an outside marketer from going from shop to shop saying, hey, I'll give you a cut of the proceeds. How about I do a bunch of sales with you? The TOM size is limited to 30% of the ground floor area, which says it'll be an appropriately sized outdoor market based on the size of the sponsor. There are 2 events per sponsor per 12-month period. So that means if there's a multi-unit site, like the one I deal with, there are 4 different businesses. They can each have 2, as opposed to saying there's just 6 per site. And the events are limited to 2 consecutive days. The other thing it does is it allows commercial yard sales to be permitted. And this is really a regulatory allowance of what has been done on a kind of casual pickup basis where people did stuff and they said, yeah, well, okay, we can do that, we can tolerate it, keep it under the shade, keep it under an awning or something. Well, this now actually says, okay, here's a regulation that says you can have a commercial outdoor sale, and here's what you do. There are 4 events allowed per commercial establishment per 12-month period, so that would be 4 commercial yard sales, and the events are permitted to be 7 consecutive days. Now remember, 7 consecutive days doesn't give you 2 weekends. So it only gives 1 weekend. Most of them, I suspect, would not be as long as 7, but nevertheless, they could be. I hope you will favorably consider the proposals before you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caffey. Council, any questions from Mr. Caffey before he steps down?
No.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak at this public hearing? All right, Council, I'll need a motion to go out of public hearing back in a regular session, please.
So moved.
Second. Second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed. Okay, Council, what are your wishes, desires in this matter? And before we go any further, this has been going on a long time. Too long, in my opinion. But I would like to hand out a big thank you to Jeff Pruitt, Rob Testerman, Planning Board, and the subcommittee. They have worked very, very hard on this matter. They've done a lot of work, and I think we all appreciate what they've done. It seems like no matter what decision we make, somebody's not going to be happy, but we are going to make a decision. Anything else?
I'd also like to thank everybody that has participated in the subcommittee, Rob and staff, for helping us to get to where we are. Discussion amongst each other?
Go ahead.
Okay. Speaking with Rob, and, you know, instead of going and passing them all in one swoop, you know, he's put them into 4 different categories, and so I guess we should probably start and go one at a time. It would probably be, you know, because there is some questions that Rob's brought up, and I think we should be addressing some of them.
Rob, it sounded like that was easier for you the last time we discussed it, the way you broke it up into 4 sections there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you want us to continue, correct?
If it works for you all, sure.
It'd be easier for you and us, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's look at revised section 42-502, temporary uses.
Mr. Mayor, I don't see any problem with this temporary use, and
You like to make a motion?
I certainly will. I move to approve the proposed text amendment to section 42-502, allowing town staff to approve those temporary uses listed in the ordinance. The board has found this proposal to be consistent with the town adopted land use plan.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second.
Second by David and Charlotte. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Number 2, 42-502, subsection 6, temporary outdoor markets. Discussion or motion?
Mr. Mayor, due to the concerns that was brought up with the new police chief and some of the concerns, I would like to send this back to the planning board and have Rob and the police chief and everything go through this safety issue before we make a determination on this. And so I don't know if we have to deny it to do that, but.
Casey, we don't need a motion. We can just send it back, correct?
Or do we need?
You can send it back.
Okay, we just make.
By consensus.
I would like to make a motion to send proposed section 42, proposed section 42-5026, temporary outdoor art markets, back to planning board for safety reviews.
Second. Second by Lynn. That's a great idea. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Number 3, revised section 18-11, outdoor events and gatherings. Discussion or motion?
Some of the same concerns
Yeah.
are with this one as well.
Mhm.
All right. Charlotte, you want to make a motion?
I move that we send this back to the planning
Second.
board.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Very good. Hold on, let me catch up here. Number 4, revised section 16-2 regarding yard sales. Discussion or motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the proposed text amendment to section 16-2 yard sales as described in the provided language. The board has found this proposal to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan.
Second.
Second by David and Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Well, we knocked out 2 of them.
Thank you, Rob.
That's good.
That's okay, we'll get them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Item number 9, we need to schedule a public hearing, Council. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay?
I move to set a public hearing at the town council meeting on September 5th, 2023 to consider adoption of the draft future land use map to serve as the town's comprehensive plan.
Second.
Second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. Item 9B, land use plan update. Rob? anything here from you? You just need a motion?
Yeah, we're just scheduling hearing.
Okay.
But didn't we just do that,
There's 9B.
the land use plan?
That's what we just did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I
have,
think we skipped 9A.
We just did 9A. Schedule public hearing, text.
Over to David to ask the same thing.
We just did 9A.
No, we didn't.
I
The-
just
You
have
scheduled the hearing for
9B.
the land use plan. 9A is for the text amendment.
Okay.
I move
Minimum
to
lot
set a
size.
public hearing at the town council meeting on September 5th, 2023, to consider adoption of the draft future land use map to serve towns comprehensive plan.
Very good. Thank you, Lynn.
There's a scheduled public hearing, text amendments, chapter 42-1, and then it's definitions, and it's got certain subsections. Do you guys see that on the agenda? That's the one I don't believe we've set yet.
I asked for make a motion to schedule a public hearing. Item 9A.
Okay, but then I think when it was made, it was for the land use plan, which is also to be scheduled, right?
Yep.
For public hearing, so we have to set two public hearings, 9A and 9B.
So we've done both of those now, right?
No, haven't voted on it.
David did one, I did one, 9A and B.
Y'all did the same one.
No, we didn't.
I think you did. Okay.
I
don't
think I
think we
didn't,
did.
because I read it right here.
Yeah.
And it was, the other page was already put away.
Which one do we need?
You're
to do?
right.
Which one do you not have, Casey?
Which one do we need?
I asked for two separate.
A,
So-
the text amendment, A.
Correct. The text amendment, both, David showed me what he read just then. He moved to consider the adoption of the future land use map. And then I think Ms. Lynn moved for the future land use map as well. What we're missing is the text amendment to chapter 42-1, which is 9A on our agenda.
Council, we need to schedule a public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I move to set a public hearing at the town council meeting on September the 5th, 2023 to consider the proposed text amendment to definition of minimum lot size in section 42-1 and in relevant district regulations as noted in the staff report.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Number 10, any possible new business? Do we have any new business? Reports from town manager. Melody?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that the Kitty Hawk Police Department participated in National Night Out, which was sponsored by Kill Devil Hills. This is the first time, I believe, that they've extended Kitty Hawk an invitation, or that we've participated. Our department was well represented, and we had a lot of fun. And thanks to the mayor and Councilman Hines for coming out and supporting the finalize the floor plan for the building. Currently, civil engineering is working on the floor plan for the building. Currently, civil engineering is working on a revised parking site plan, and Dills is working with their cost estimator to provide us pricing options based on the things that we have discussed. We should have that, I would say, in the next several days. The beach medical lease is coming along, thanks to Willie's crew. Things are coming along with the renovation in that space. The painting is complete throughout the medical office suite, and flooring installation should begin sometime this week. We've also had Public Works construct a temporary wall to restrict access to the police department side, and it looks really nice. They even hung up artwork. And Beach Medical would like to move in as early as November. So we're trying to make that happen. And lastly, on Friday morning, several of us joined Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue at the bathhouse, where Chief Talley presented Callie Bath Knight, one of our ocean rescue guards, with the Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue Life Saving Award. On Monday, July 31st, Callie, a Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue lifeguard, was instrumental in helping to save the life of a visitor. Callie was patrolling the beach, and with the assistance of a few other bystanders, she was able to administer life-saving techniques to stabilize the patient. In coordination with Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue, Kill Hills Ocean Rescue, and Dare County EMS, the patient was transported to the hospital, and based on Callie's quick response and her immediate engagement and her training kicking in. It made all the difference, and we're pleased to report that the patient was expected last week to be released from the hospital. Callie is a North Carolina State University student, and she is a second-year guard for Kitty Hawk Fire Rescue. We're very proud.
Very proud. Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Melody. Casey.
I have nothing, Mayor. We rallied together there and pulled that public hearing. That's what this council's all about. Good job, guys.
We got it done, didn't we? Council, Charlotte?
I'm very interested in talking to you, Katie. And I also live on Bay Drive in Kitty Hawk, and I happen to think that we have an awful lot of west wind now that it seems to be very predominant. So I can feel for what you're going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Jeff?
Yeah, I'd like to once again thank Jimmy. Jimmy, thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah.
Willie, appreciate what you do, buddy. You're a great town manager. Chief, welcome. Welcome, Chief.
You're okay, too.
Yeah. And I'd also like to thank Steve House. It's really a pleasure to let that group come to our beach for a couple days and raise the money, and for them to chip back into our town is very nice. And I'd like to thank him, and I'd also like to thank the Ocean Rescue. That was a great outcome. Chief, you're doing a great job, and pass along to Callie that we certainly appreciate her heroic duty. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Lynn?
Everything Jeff said.
Dave?
Pretty much.
All right.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to Callie. I had the honor this afternoon at 5 o'clock to swear in Chief Mike Palkovich to his position as police chief. It was more than an honor. I take those things personally because I've been there. I know what it means. You had family members here, and I could tell in your face it meant a lot to you too. So I just want to congratulate you, welcome you, Lieutenant Jimmy Helms. You've been outstanding, my friend. Thank you for what you've done. And thank everybody for coming out tonight. We've had a large group. You have been respectful. You have stated what your concerns were, and I appreciate very much that you came out and talked to us like you did. Sometimes they're not respectful meetings. This has been a great meeting. I'm leaving here with a smile on my face tonight, okay? Okay. Anything else, Council? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.